I am one of the customer success managers here at Mindflash. Yeah, today we'll be covering user permissions that are available for our Pro Tier customers. That said, of course, if you have any questions about Mindflash, even if they aren't on this topic, feel free to share those in the chat feature of GoToMeeting on the right side of your screen. And all right, let's get started. So when it comes to user permissions for Pro customers, you have the ability to assign 5 different levels of permissions to your administrators. And what you're seeing now is just a basic overview and some highlights of the differences between these permission levels. So administrators can do everything on Mindflash. They can create content, modify content, add users, archive users, and the biggest difference for administrators is they can access the Manage Account page for billing and account plan level. So I will just go ahead and show you where that can be found. So when clicking on your name in the top right, you'll see a Manage Account option, and that is when all your account information will be pulled up. So you have, again, ability to change your plan, edit your plan, change payment details from here as an administrator. And the next step down would be a trainer. And trainers have the ability to do pretty much everything that an administrator can do except see the Manage Account page. And trainers can be restricted by group. So I will go ahead and show you what that would look like as a trainer. So here as a trainer, I'll just show you, I'll log in as a trainer. So I guess the first thing I should show you is that as an administrator, when going to the Manage Users page, you will see there are 122 users listed. So this is the breadth of your users, regardless of the group that they're in. But as a trainer, when going to Manage Users, well, first off, you'll see there's no Manage Account option in the pull down when clicking on your name. And when going to Manage Users, you now only see 10 users. So these are the users in the specific group that you want this trainer to see. So this actually would be a good time to mention that these permission levels are strictly for user permissions, or user restriction. You will not be able to restrict the content that any of your users will see. So obviously, as a trainer, even though I'm limited to a specific group of trainees, I can still see all the content here that is available on the platform. All the courses that are created, even if those courses may not apply to your specific group. All right. So, So trainers, they can create and edit content, and they can be restricted by group. So one step down from a trainer would be a manager. And the manager does not have the ability to create or edit content. And again, they can be restricted to a group, but they also have the ability to add new users. And it's important to keep in mind that any new user that a manager adds that is restricted to a group will automatically become a member of that specific group. Okay, so let me log in as a manager so you can see the differences here. So, well, one thing to point out, so as a trainer, if you were to go into a course, you'll see all the tabs available because you still have the ability to edit content. So you'll see a Manage tab, Arrange tab, Customize tab, Distribute tab, Track tab. But as a manager, because you do not have the ability to modify or create and modify content, when going into a course, you'll see only two tabs. As a manager, you only have the ability to distribute content and then track the performance of your trainees. Right. So managers cannot create or edit content, but can add new users. And I should just go ahead and show you. So when managing users, you'll still have the ability to add users either individually or by Excel upload. Now, one step down from manager will be your team lead. And team leads will not have the ability to add new users. They can view reports and do specific management tasks such as remind and reset trainees. So I'll go ahead and show you what that would look like as a team lead. So as I just mentioned, you'll see now when going to manage users, you do not have the ability to add a new user. So as you'll see, there's no yellow button here on the right. And when going to a course, you'll now only see a track tab. So again, you'll only be able to view advanced reporting, and you won't. It should be mentioned, however, that so you will be able to reset and remind trainees for the courses that they've already been invited to. So that would be the role of team lead, and then reporter, being the most restrictive user role, would only have the ability to view courses and series advanced reports. So why don't I go ahead and show you what that looks like. All right. So again, if you were to go into a course as a reporter, you will only see the track tab, and now you can see the reporter does not have the ability to reset or remind trainees. And when going to the advanced reports, he or she will still be able to see all the data that's available to administrators in Mindflash. And I think it would make sense at this point just to go back to actually assigning these permission levels from your administrator account. So when you go to manage users, you can do this in two ways. You can either invite a new user and apply those permissions when inviting them. So when going to new user, you can then choose the role that you want to assign them. So as you can see, administrator, trainer, manager, team lead, or reporter. And when after selecting their role, you can then choose to either allow them to manage all your users or restrict them to a certain group. So if, for example, you wanted them to be restricted to your sales group, you would select that here. Okay. And then again, the other way to do that would be for an existing user. So, for example, if you wanted to give this individual here elevator permissions, you would go to the user information, edit, and assign them the permission level you'd like to give them. So let's make her a manager, and then after clicking done, you can choose to either restrict her manager permissions to all users, or to not restrict her manager permissions, allow her to have manager permissions for all users or to a specific group. So again, sales group. All right, great. So yeah, so that was a really quick demo of user permissions for our pro tier customers. If you have any questions, please let me know. And let's see, looks like we received some questions.
So first off, so this is Jason with Mindflash. I'll just help with some questions here. First question is, will the slides be available after the meeting? Yes, we'll record the audio or the presentation, and we'll be sending that out to everyone. Most likely it'll come this afternoon, but if not, it will be tomorrow. Also, for anyone who's not aware, on the right-hand side in the GoToWebinar panel, there's a section that says questions. If you want to enter questions there, please feel free to do so. We'll address questions about anything. You've got 2 CSMs here, so we know the product inside and out. We see a lot of different programs. If you have any questions about anything related to Mindflash, we'd be happy to address those, not just the content of the webinar. So certainly if there are questions about permissions and the webinar, please fire those off, but we'll handle anything. So please feel free to send those in. Let's see here. First question is, what happens when a trainee is added by a manager? I would assume that is when a manager goes in and invites someone new. How does that work, or what does that look like?
Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that. So as a manager, I'll go to my, let's go to my manager account. So as a manager, if you were to go to manage users and invite a new trainee, just simply write first name, last name, email address. So you'll see a pop-up. It says trainees require group membership. You must add the trainees to a group you manage, right? So you'll then have to scroll down and add that to the group that you manage. And at that point, they'll be invited.
So that person will necessarily go into one of the groups that manager is restricted to. If they aren't restricted, then they would just go into the general list. They don't have to go into a specific group. But if the manager is restricted to specific groups, they would have to choose one of the groups they're already in. That would then allow them to see that person, which is really the motivation for that, because they can only see people that are in the groups that they've been given access to. Okay, another question. I think we covered this, but how can I restrict which courses a trainee sees, or excuse me, a trainer sees? So is there a way to restrict what courses they see?
Right. So no, so there isn't a way to restrict the courses that can be seen by a trainer. A trainer will be able to see all the courses. He will simply be restricted to a group of users if that is set for him.
Okay. Let's see. Looks like the last question we have here. So if there are any other questions that people have, now would be a good time to submit them. But what happens when a manager tries to add a trainee that is already in Mindflash? So I'll expand that question. What happens when anyone with a restricted permission, so they've been restricted to a group, tries to add a trainee that is already in Mindflash? So probably someone they can't see.
Right. So yeah. So if you're looking to add a user that is already on your account, but you do not see, given your restricted access to your trainees, you'll simply get an error message that'll request that you talk to your administrator about that user. So you won't have the ability to add any users that already exist on your account.
Yeah, okay. So if I can't see Kevin, but I know he's in there, and I try to add him, it won't just automatically add him to my group, because there may be a reason that Kevin's not in my group, that I can't see his reporting history. There may be a motivation for not wanting me to see Kevin's reporting history. So I can't necessarily just pull him into my group and start managing him. I would have to talk to an admin or someone who has access to that person to be able to change their group membership. And then if they change that group membership, then I'd have access to them. All right, that seems like the rest of our questions. You want to just show real quickly, we do have more information on this. So
Right.
We have a help center that's certainly available for a lot of different information, but there's a specific article that addresses all of these. This will obviously be available. We'll send a link to this article in the follow-up email that we send with the recording as well. And then just in terms of who you have access to, if you have a customer success manager you're aware of, feel free to reach out directly to that customer success manager, or we have a generic customer success at mindflash.com that you can email if you don't know who the person is to talk to, and we will address any questions you might have.
Right.
So we try to do 1 to 2 webinars a month from the CSMs to kind of give in-depth information about specific features. So we invite pretty much everyone who's an admin or a manager or a trainer or whatever in the system. So look for those invitations, and please feel free to join in the future. We'd love to have more of that. And certainly if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and you don't have to wait necessarily for a webinar. Just let us know.
Right. Yeah, if there's anything in particular you'd like your CSM to demonstrate as far as Mindflash's capabilities, we can easily schedule a call and a screen share whenever it makes sense. So, all right, thank you all for joining today, and happy training.